Hello, in this video I'll show you some more tips and tricks that I use on the Linux terminal to boost my productivity, either at work or just coding at home. So let's start with the low-hanging fruit. As you probably know, you can access history with the up arrow key. So for example, if I run echo 1 and echo 2, well, I did it already, but here if I press up, it'll bring up echo 2, and if I press it again, it'll bring up echo 1. And you can keep doing this to navigate throughout your history in a reverse chronological order. But there's a way to have more control over this, and the first one is to simply run the history command, and this brings up your history. It displays it right here after the history command. So I'm not gonna do that because it's a lot of output. What you can do instead is pipe it into less. This way you have more control over it. So you can use the arrow key to navigate as you wish, or even the page down and page up keys. And it has a nice output with line commands, with line numbers and everything. And you can copy whichever command you want to run from your history. And to exit, of course, you can tap Q. The second way to access this history is simply to go to the history file. In my case, it's ZSH history because I'm running ZSH, but Bash has Bash history, so you can use that if you're using Bash. So here it displays pretty much the same thing, except in the case of Bash it also has these timestamps, but the principle remains the same. You can navigate this file and search for whatever command you had in mind. And the third way to search would be to use ctrl R, and this brings up a prompt where you type the prefix. Actually, I don't think it's necessarily the prefix. You can type anything, it'll search your history for a mention of that command. Here I'll simply type echo, and it brings up echo 2. And to search further, you can click on Ctrl R again, and it'll bring up echo 1. So the fourth way, and this is unique to ZSH, unless I'm mistaken, of course. In ZSH you can type the prefix of a command, for example echo, and now if you press the up arrow key, it'll search in the history and show only the commands that start with echo. So here if I press up, it's echo 2 or echo 1, again echo 2, and I think it's echo 1 again, and so forth. This is actually the selling point of ZSH, and it's one of the main reasons why I switched to it. I'm not sure if Bash has a similar trick, but if it does, please leave it in the comments because I haven't found one. Right, here's a small tip. You can clear the screen with Ctrl L. Of course you can use clear, it does the same thing. And in this case, clear and Ctrl L don't actually clean the screen. Instead they display enough line breaks to hide what you previously ran. And to hide everything you can run reset. And now you'll notice even the scroll bar doesn't allow you to go further than this line. Right, so the second tip concerns type-in commands. So in the previous video I mentioned that the terminal uses Emacs shortcuts and key bindings and such, but it also has VI support that you can enable with set-o VI, and now you can use your beloved VI commands here. So it starts off with the insert mode, and you can type stuff as usual, and then if you press escape you're in the command mode, and now you can, for example, navigate word by word with W, navigate backwards word by word with B, and so on. Another useful thing you can do here is search in your history, and you can do that with slash. And here it brings up a prompt that's similar to the Ctrl R one I mentioned earlier. So here I can type echo, click enter, and now it displays echo 1. And you can go back in history with N. So it's not too different from using VI or Vim, where you can run search for something with slash and then jump to the occurrences with N and capital N to jump backwards. Okay, and to exit this mode and go back to Emacs mode, you can run set-o Emacs, and now you're back to Emacs mode. One thing you should know is that this is VI and not Vim, so Vim has more advanced features. For example, here let's say I have this command echo, and let's say I have a single quote and I have something inside of it and some more text here. Now in Vim I can go to this part, and if I run di quote, it'll delete everything inside the quotes, which doesn't work here because this is only VI, and I believe this was a Vim edition. So to have more advanced support, you would have to use the trick I mentioned in the previous video, and that's Ctrl X and Ctrl E. But of course it doesn't work here because it's an Emacs thing, or at least it's not a VI thing. So VI probably has Ctrl X or Ctrl E bound to another thing. So again, you would have to set-o Emacs. And now you can run Ctrl X, Ctrl E, and maybe set up Vim as your default editor, so you can have support for the thing I mentioned earlier. So here, if I jump to this quoted word, I can delete everything inside the quotes with di double quote. Right, so that was the second tip. And the third tip involves navigating directories. So let's run reset again. And now let's make a few directories. So let's say we have A and A/B and A/C. Right, and now let's say I went to A/B, and then I went to A/C. Oh, it should be like this. Okay, now if I want to go back to the directory where I came from, there's a command that you can run, and it's cd dash, and this jumps back to the latest directory you are in. So it's like alt tab, but it only works on a single level. If you want more levels, so for example, let's say you're at the home directory, and let's say you move to A. You move to A, and then you move to B, and you wanted to cd dash to B to A, and then cd dash to the home directory. To do that, you can use the pushd command. So what this does is it keeps a stack of the directories you were in, and to go back to the latest directory you can run popd. So here's an example. Here I'm at the home directory. Let's go to a/b. It's pushd. And now let's go to a/c. Right, and as you can see here, it displays the stack. Now if I run popd, I'll go back to a/b, and if I run it again, I'll go back to the home directory, and now the stack is empty. So this is very useful if you want a more advanced version of cd dash. Although in all honesty, I don't use this often because I find it difficult to keep track of where I was and where I want to go. Most of the time I use tabs to, for example, instead of doing everything in a single tab, I open a new tab, and this way I can open two directories at the same time. But still, the cd dash command is useful in certain situations. And by the way, this also works for git, so you can use it to jump to the latest branch you were in, for example, or the latest commit even. For example, if you had git checkout, I don't have git here, but this is just an example. Let's say I was at the master branch and then I checked out to a feature branch. I can jump back to the master branch with git checkout dash. And it also works if I had previously jumped to a specific commit. I can go back to either the branch or the commit I was at before with, again, git checkout dash. So those were the tips I had in mind for this video. Again, if you think of more useful tips, don't hesitate to leave them in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I hope I'll see you next time.